2025, I am taking back nap time. That means nothing to you guys. My daughter is asleep and I have spent nap time the last almost 2 years also napping. 2025 is the year I take nap time back. Anyway, hello everyone, it's Hunter and welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, it's so nice to meet you. Today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my favorite books from 2024. I read 118 books in 2024, so I narrowed down my favorites. Some of them that I read were fantastic, some of them were a little bit mid. I also am a super generous rater when it comes to rating books, so even though I gave a lot of books 5 stars, that doesn't necessarily mean they were like my favorite books of all time. It just means that I couldn't find any faults with them. So I thought I'd sit down and share with you guys my top books from 2024. If you guys enjoy videos like this, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel down below for more book content. In 2025, I'm trying to do some sort of lifestyle, bookish, motherhood, sit down type videos during one day of the week, and on the other day of the week, I'm hoping to do like a daily vlog or maybe a week in my life or something like that. So if that suits your fancy, I'd love you guys to stick around and watch my videos. I am really trying to do better about consistency and growing on YouTube this year. So that's all I have for my intro. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, I wrote down everything on my iPad so that I would not forget. So these are not in any order. They're just the order. These are actually the order that I read them in reverse chronologically. So I went through the list of books that I read in 2024 and picked them out as I scrolled down. So the ones I read most recently are at the top, ones I read first in the year are at the bottom. So the first book on this list is, move over so I can put it on the screen. The first book I read in 2024, or one of my favorite books in 2024, was Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams, and this book actually came out on January 7th, 2025. However, I was lucky enough to get an advance copy from NetGalley, and I read it ahead of time, and I will say this, every single time she puts out a new book, I think this is her best work yet. Seriously, I am completely obsessed with her. She is one of my favorite authors and I will always buy and read her books. I have all of her books and I have read all of her books, and I actually started reading her when she was still publishing independently on Amazon, and genuinely I just love her books so much. They're so sweet. Beg, Borrow, or Steal gave me all the butterflies. I was like kicking my feet, squealing. It was so good. I just felt so good once I was finished reading it. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Love that book so much. The next book is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, and I have read all but one of her books, and I'm actually working on the last one that I haven't read right now. Since I read all of her books in 2024, I didn't want to put them all on this list because I wanted to give other authors a chance to make this list. However, Part of Your World I think was my favorite one that I read, and something about her books is that they deal with like real life problems. So, for example, I read, what's the first book she wrote? The Friend Zone. When I read The Friend Zone, I literally cried. I just feel like there are actually issues at hand that are discussed in the book, and it's not just like fluffy romance, but it also is just like really good romance. The characters just have incredible chemistry, and that is like my favorite part of all of these books. But Part of Your World, I really loved. The main character is a doctor, and she runs into this guy in a small town, and she has a one-night stand with him, and then she just keeps going back for more. And eventually she's like, no, this is just a physical thing. We would never work in each other's worlds. And then of course she grows feelings for him, and she's kind of stuck trying to decide what she wants to do with her life because she feels stuck in her career as well. So overall, I just obsessed, ate it up, loved it so much, and every single Abby Jimenez book that I read deserves to be on this list. Number 3 on this list is Made, has a long title, Made, Hard Work, Low Pay, and a Mother's Will to Survive by Stephanie Land. This is a memoir, obviously by Stephanie Land, and there's actually a show on Netflix based on this book with Margaret Qualley in it, and it is so good. The show is definitely different from the book, but it draws inspiration in the book, if that makes sense. But it basically tells the story of how when you are in poverty, how hard it is to dig yourself out of poverty, how hard it is to co-parent from an abusive relationship, how hard it is to have a mother who is not supportive, having parents just who are not supportive, how hard it is to be a mother in a world where you need to make money to survive, and how hard it is to dig yourself out of that. Even when there are things so beyond your control, when there are things that you cannot do just just overall, it really opened my eyes to a life of poverty that I have never experienced before, in how, like, you want to make your life better, you want to do better for yourself and for your child, but there's only so much that you can do in your current circumstances. I don't know, it was just really eye-opening, and I'd highly recommend it to literally anybody. Next on this list is Tell Me Lies by Carola Lovering, and there's actually a Hulu show based on this book. There are 2 seasons right now, and I think I've only watched like the first 3 episodes, but I loved this book. It did take me a really long time to read it, but I loved this book. My husband bought it for me for my birthday, and I started reading it immediately. He always gets me a book for my birthday, and for Christmas actually, but gave me this one, and it's about this girl who, she goes to college, and she's excited to get away from everything, and she meets this guy who she knows is wrong for her, but she just can't stop going back to him. He kind of strings her along. He loves her, he doesn't love her, he wants to be with her, he doesn't want to be with her. It's just a physical thing. They're in a relationship, they're not in a relationship, she's fine, not fine. It's a whole thing. You're almost rooting for them to work, but also know that this guy is just absolutely terrible and that they shouldn't be together, but like you kind of want them to be just because you know how she feels about him. It's like very conflicting, but I still really enjoyed the book and I was very happy with how it ended. The next book on this list is another one that I got to read it early, but also just a few days early, but it is The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center, and this book was sent by St. Martin's Press, and I was literally over the moon when I received this in the mail. Literally, I thought it was such a cute book. Catherine Center is one of my favorite authors, just like Sarah Adams is. I will read anything that woman writes, and I just love her books so much. I read 3 of her books in 2024. I actually read 4 books by her this year. It was unintentional that I read them that way, but if I can, like, if I get access to the books through the library or something, then I will do it there. But this book was about a girl who, she is a writer and she wants to write movies. She is an aspiring screenwriter. She finally gets the opportunity to work with her favorite screenwriter of all time, who is trying to jump into the rom-com space, but he does not write rom-coms, so she's been hired as a person to help him hone his craft, essentially. And they're obviously spending a lot of time together when they are working together, and it's just so good. I love her books. They are so completely closed door when it comes to like spicy scenes. There are no spicy scenes, which I love, but I still feel the chemistry from the characters so much, and I love that. The next book on this list is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I have also read all of her books, and she's always a must-buy author for me. She is actually on my must-buy list. I made a list at the beginning of the year of must-buy authors of books that I'm allowed to buy physical copies of. I'm basically trying to spend low this year, so I can purchase books from Sarah Adams, Mary Kubica, Abby Jimenez, Carly Fortune. There are like 2 more. I can't remember who they are off the top of my head, but those are, she's just one of those authors that I read her first book. Actually, I remember sitting in my car waiting on my husband to arrive at a house showing that I went to, and the showing was for this house while I was reading her first book. So I have loved all of her books so far, and I'm so excited for the next one. But it's about this girl who, she falls in love with her best friend's brother, but her best friend doesn't know, and it just never works out. The timing doesn't, and every time she thinks that something good is gonna happen, it doesn't. And every time she's like, this time will be different, I will not end up in bed with him again, and then she does. So I don't know, the chemistry again, I love when characters have really good chemistry, and I think Carly Fortune writes her characters with really great chemistry. The next one is another one that was sent to me by St. Martin's Press, and it is Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth. She is another author that I just absolutely love. Again, I was absolutely thrilled when I received this book from them. It was a whole PR package. It had like little teas, and it also came with another one of her books, and that I'd actually already read and loved. So I was so excited to receive that book in the mail. But Darling Girls is about these 3 girls who grew up in this foster home, and it was a pretty abusive situation, and when they're older they receive a call from the police saying that the bones of a child were found in the basement of the house, and so they have to go back and they kind of revisit their past while also investigating what happened, and it was so good. I devoured it. And the last book on this list is another book by Sarah Adams, and I know I said in the beginning that there were other books that I've read by authors that I read multiple of, like Catherine Center and Abby Jimenez this year, but I feel like I read them so far apart from each other. I read one at the beginning of the year and one at the end of the year, so it feels like I read them in different years. But it is The Rule Book by Sarah Adams, and this is the second book in the Cheat Sheet series. It's about this guy who plays for the Los Angeles Sharks, a professional football team based out of Los Angeles. I literally have a sticker that says Los Angeles Sharks on the back of my Kindle, because I love Sarah Adams so much. But anyway, it's about this professional football player. He is injured and he is about to start playing again, so he needs a new publicist isn't the right word. Agent. He needs a new agent. That's what it is. And this girl is a rookie and is assigned to him, and he's like, oh no, a rookie agent. This means that I clearly am not a popular commodity anymore. But this woman is so excited to come in and be an agent for a serious football player. Turns out it's her ex. They're exes and they have to work together. So they make a list of things that they are not allowed to do, or just rules for their working relationship. And it ends up being much more than either of them expected it to be. Of course, it's a rom-com, so you know what's gonna happen. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was so cute, and I just overall, chef's kiss, loved it. I'm pretty sure I have most of these books in physical form because I loved them that much. Either bought them, or they were sent to me, or I bought them before, or bought them after I read them. Either way, I thoroughly enjoyed all of these books. I will link them all down below if you guys are interested in checking any of them out. But let me know what books you guys loved in 2024, because I'm ready to read some good books in 2025. So that's all I have for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, again, don't forget to subscribe to see more book content, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!